There's my... Welcome back to Magnificently Black. I am your host, Courtney, and today we have my co-host, Jen, and we also have a special guest with us today. Jen, would you like to, you can introduce our guest today.
Sure. Today we have Ruby Jackson. She's a friend of mine, and she's also a fitness coach. She's also a videographer. So welcome, Ruby. Glad to have you today.
Thank you. Glad to be here with the both of you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're excited for you to be here. We've heard, I've seen so much that you do on Instagram, and I follow you, and I'm just like heard so many great stories about how you coach and different avenues you take to like actually incorporate what you do into your community as well, and how you want your community to be basically a family. And yeah, so welcome. So Jennifer, what's some of the things that we wanted to talk about today?
So first, I wanted Ruby to tell us a little bit about her athletic journey and how you became a fitness coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started as an athlete, young. The first, I was like trying to figure, like, what age was I? The first sport I remember playing is softball, actually. I always wanted to play soccer, but my parents didn't have the financial investment to make into soccer. And I'm one of 6 children, so yeah, soccer was just too much money. So I got a chance to play softball when I got into high school. I come from a really huge basketball town, Chester, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
basketball is like, it's king there. We have quite a few people that have made it to the NBA, that have played
What?
professionally overseas. Yeah.
Oh
Wow.
man,
I would have never known that.
that's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say. It's like that's tough shoes to follow and be like, let's break into some other sports. That's why when you said softball, I'm like, softball
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah. So so yeah, and my freshman year of high school, I was playing basketball, and I was like third string point guard. Warm
Third string, I take it, didn't get much play time, right?
No, I didn't, but yeah,
That's all right. That's all right, because you found your niche. So you
Right.
started getting into track and field. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. When I did get a chance to get play on the basketball court, my coach, she used to just kind of be like, Ruby, like, you're all the way down the court, you're past half court and the ball's still back there, like, you need to go out for track. So I went out for track, not just because she suggested it, but there's a boy on the team that I liked as well.
Oh no.
That would definitely try. Be
That's
like,
the motivation.
Be like, what event you do? I want to do an event with you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and to add on to that, can you tell me a little bit about your videographic passion and what guided you on that path?
Yes, absolutely. Just a minute, because I have a little visitor.
Oh, bring her in. Oh,
Hi.
We got another special guest. She's so
like, hey, how are you doing? Be like, how?
So yeah, I really got into video after it's something I've always been interested in doing. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a photographer, and in my collegiate years, I was called paparazzi by my teammates because I always had a camera on me. And naturally, it's a video world today now.
Yeah.
So
if you have like, if you were to tell someone to start like taking pictures or giving people I guess like tips, where should they start? Like, what type of product should they buy? Like a camera or like lighting? Like, okay, we're talking about like our backgrounds and stuff. What would be a good background, how to set up our backgrounds and things like that?
So it really depends on what you're going to be shooting.
Okay.
But if we're talking about podcasting, I know you guys were complimenting me on this background. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. But like most videographers are gonna be like, there's no depth of field there. So like I'm so close to the background, you know, like nothing separating me from it. So what you may want to start with is of course you could start with a phone, like that's probably something that everybody has. And then
Yeah.
you just make sure that you're using the highest resolution
Mm.
camera part on your phone. So like here's my iPhone right here. I'm not going to use this front facing camera because the rear facing camera actually has better quality from it. So you need good lighting, good audio, and pretty much a camera to record it. So if you're starting with the phone, definitely shooting yourself into like a corner is pretty cool because you can get some separation from the background. But if you're not able to, what you could also do is if you're just from a flat background, just have some way to make sure you're far enough from it or a light to help separate you from it. But yeah, are you guys looking to upgrade your cameras?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought about it. There's a lot of stuff that we're thinking about doing, changing as we're getting more guests and stuff, things like background, lighting, even internet is a thing too, especially when you're trying to do video and streaming, you want to make sure you got the best, quality Wi-Fi as well. So it's if you're not used to doing the things that you're doing, I know you have plenty of backdrops and stuff. We don't have, and with Courtney being in another area, it's challenging too. So, but
yeah, because it's like,
do you have backdrops that you throw in your setting?
Yeah, I do. So like in a different part of the house, I'm just in my bedroom right now. Sorry if you hear her in the background.
Oh, she is
she's
fine. She can be our little guest and come in and talk too.
Say. She is good.
I actually was recording myself doing this interview from a different camera, and she's totally taken over that camera.
That is totally all right.
But yeah,
so I did have another question for you based around that. Me having my own business, I find it challenging to find clients, serious clients who want to, follow through with projects. Do you find you have that same problem when you're trying to do photography and getting athletes to, become a client and get business?
There's definitely a challenge with that sometimes. I think since the pandemic, everybody realizes that like video is king, and you need the content. What I've learned is that it really sometimes comes down to your messaging and just making sure that you are showing up first in the places where the people that need your services are. So whether Instagram, LinkedIn, I'm not sure how young your audience might be, Jen, but even if it might be TikTok, I haven't ventured to there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, just making sure that you're showing up where they are, adding value, and just don't be afraid to every once in a while ask as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one of my challenges too, trying to go out and ask people, do you need this service? Again, my crowd tends to be an older crowd, so they might not, use a lot of social media and, TikTok for sure. I don't think any of my clients have had TikTok. So
you just have to be like how important you have to be that reiterate how important getting out on the internet now is, because that's how all these businesses are flourishing, because they're like, here's a TikTok, here's a Facebook, here's an Instagram, here's this, and it's just like in a riddle. If you put viral, or like we could put like Black athletes, like we plan to put today, and they will put it in a rotation of Black athletes for NFL, Black athletes that run track, and hopefully that's the way we're trying to like build both our brands, because I'm like, we got to get that social media part down. So
and then don't forget about YouTube. YouTube is a pretty powerful search engine where a lot of people come to go to too. But if your audience is a little bit older, you might be, just figuring out where they are. You might want to explore YouTube and LinkedIn as well.
Okay. Yeah, I don't dabble in the YouTube thing because I'm not big on video. I know that's your thing. I'm just now getting, comfortable with doing video, of myself. So doing this with Courtney has been a good experience for me, getting out there with the video and other things like that. So hopefully it will bring more, I think, as far as the business, but I do find it challenging to get serious clients that will, stick around through the whole project, in other words.
Yeah, just like this little one, she's like, I'm around, but I'm not
like,
gonna sit here the whole time.
She's so cute though. She's so cute.
Yes, yeah.
she's like, oh. So Ruby, when you said you played sports, like and like Jim was saying about being an athlete and having clients, what type of sports do you have? Like what type of clients do you have? I guess like what sports do they play? I guess you could ask. Yeah. Like are they all track and field? Like do they do long jump or things like that?
Yeah, so I've actually taken a step back from coaching right now.
Okay.
Just being a Christian athlete, just really listening to what God is telling me to do. And what he's really showing me right now and in this season is that on the fitness side, we have people that are spiritually fit, but they're not physically fit. And those are people we're supposed to be working with, which is like totally different than I thought.
Yeah.
And then on the athletic side, you have people that are physically fit, but they might not be spiritually and mentally fit. So I'm actually shifting to just get comfortable and really walk into that with like, okay, now I'm gonna shift from athletes' bodies, but I'm also really looking to hone in and training their minds and their hearts and their spirits. And then in the in the church side of things, like it's like, all right, let's get this fitness part going.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's kind of like a holistic approach to fitness, and I like that because I'm actually on a new journey myself. I was just saying this last night with someone else we had on the show that I've changed a lot of my eating habits. I've changed the way I'm exercising, and I'm separating myself from negative things as well, which is better for me. Sometimes you have to separate things that are clouding your mind or giving you negative vibes in your mind to get, to feel,
Feel good.
fulfilled and to feel good, right? So it's not all about just fitness. It is about mind too, So I've tried to switch out and do some meditation, separate myself from negative things, like I said, and I feel 100% better when I go out for a run. It's just something about having your mind right and then going out and running, right? It's two things together that's working together. So it feels really good in that space, I think. So I like that approach that you're going for. And I think a lot of people don't realize how strong the mind part of
Your
it
mind
is.
is,
The spiritual part.
Yeah, because if your mind, that's why when you just said like the mind thing and doing breathing exercises, waking up in the morning, if you just sit on the end of your bed, it's like doing breathing exercises helps you get your day started. And then you're like, okay, I can either go for a walk in the morning. Like sometimes I go for a walk before I even go to work. And then I'm like, okay, at work, I'll be like, okay, I'm going for another walk because I know my body needs it, my mind needs it. And I'm just like, okay, God is just like, okay, then we're gonna get this going. We're gonna get this workout going. So
Yeah, I mean, because I played basketball too, so you had to get mentally right before you got out on that court, right? You had to be ready, so you had to talk to yourself. So it's the same concept there. So I like that, Ruby. You should definitely, pursue that more. I mean, I might be your first client.
Because that's what I was gonna say. Because I used to do track and field when I was in high school, and like I used to do shot put and stuff, and definitely if I wasn't mentally prepared, like I would fall, I would scratch. It was just like the worst. So I like that.
For the throws, you have to have some really good mind body connection and knowing like where your body is in space so you don't step outside of the pit.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
very
but
for sure, for sure.
yeah. But
definitely.
as we were talking about just like holistic health and approach to holistic fitness, it kind of makes me think about like, you know, the podcasts, right? That
Yeah.
you guys have in this platform, because as Black people, like they tend to like kind of want us to live these two different lives, and like, no, my
Yeah.
Blackness is like
Yeah.
me. I can't take it off. It's everywhere that I go, and
Yeah.
every moment and every part of me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely. That's why when we came up with the name of it, I was like, Jennifer, like, this is us. Like, this represents who we are as women. I said, because we want to be able to have a free space to talk. We want to have a place where we can be like, hey, we can give information. We can give what we can give as women, because we don't want to just be like, oh yeah, we're strong, but we also have a sensitive side too. And we have intelligence beyond me.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
the name
And
is
giving other
definitely good.
people, giving other African Americans too a space to talk, a safe space to have a conversation, a safe space to share what they're wanting to do, with, as far as pursuing, their own business, podcast, whatever that may be. Because sometimes we feel like we can't talk freely in some spaces, right? So you want to
Yeah.
have a space where you can share things and have a common ground. And I feel like this platform, that's what we have here when we say Magnificently Black. That's what we're saying. Everything that we do, whatever we come up with, our goals or aspirations for things, it should be magnified, and everyone should know, how we feel, and we should speak, how we feel. And sometimes I feel like I can't do that in certain spaces where we shouldn't feel like that. We should be able to feel like we can share that at any moment, but just to have a platform to be able to do that is great. And I'm really enjoying it, and some of the guests that we're having as well.
Oh, yes, I'm looking forward to just hearing more.
Yeah, sure. But Ruby, also you're involved in some, I noticed on your social media, with some organizations where a lot of photographers come together. And I think it was in Atlanta, a group that you're doing that with, or is that here in North Carolina?
Oh, yeah, so in Atlanta, so there's I got my training from a really, really dope dynamic duo. One of them, I'm actually wearing her shirt. Her name's Panique Singleton.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah, she has a company called Entrepreneurship is Dope, a lifestyle brand.
I'll
But
write
she's
that down.
yeah.
Right.
And she's actually they're both from North Carolina. So Brandon Dixon and Panique Singleton are instructors in a 6-week mastermind course called Shooters Camp. And they have probably about one per quarter each year. And yeah, within 6 weeks, like they're taking you through all of the basics of like learning your camera inside and out to do photo and video, and then also just teaching you the business side of things. So it's not just like, let's learn the skill, it's like, let's learn the skill, get your investment back, and start making you some money.
I love that.
That's good. That's good. Well, we'll definitely get that information from you too. So we'll drop it down in our social for them as well.
And
And
you say this
I'll
is in
be looking at
Atlanta.
that.
Where is this at?
Yeah, because
We
Courtney's
like,
in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, so
mhm.
Chamblee, is that a suburb of Atlanta?
I think so. So I've been to Chamberlain, the
Okay,
winery.
right.
So
Yeah.
it might be in that area.
Yes, but the course, Courtney, actually is online.
Okay.
And then when you get together at the end of the course for like the 2-day intensive celebration. Sorry, I'm hearing like chewing sounds, but I know I don't have anything to eat in this room. So I'm like, what is my niece doing?
Be like, what do you have?
Yeah, it's chapstick. You're
Oh
welcome.
no.
Just said thank
She's
you.
eating some chapstick.
Yes. But yes,
Just
so both Panique and Brandon live in the Atlanta metro area now. And that 2-day intensive is in Atlanta once you're finished with the course. So
Okay. Now, do you have to already have the gear and everything? You have to have your own
That's
cameras
what I
and
was
that
gonna
kind of thing
ask.
before you go?
so from week one, you probably want to have your own camera because they are teaching you from there like how to use the camera. So I do know they probably do like pre-calls. So if you don't have a camera already, like whoever you hop on the phone with from their business, they'll probably ask you kind of like what's your niche, you know, or what niche are you thinking about working in, and then they may suggest a camera. But I do know that they do not recommend that you go out and get like, I don't know what your favorite podcast is, but like there's podcasts where like I've seen them and they're like, oh, I want this light, I want that. And they're just like, nope, don't buy this yet. Right.
Yeah.
Like make the money through the projects and allow the projects to buy it. And then sometimes if you're so new to photography and videography and you buy stuff too early, you may not buy you may buy something today that doesn't work for you, you know, 3 months down the road once you learn more about where you really want to be.
Okay. Yeah, that
That's
makes
some good
sense. That makes perfect
information
sense.
because
Yeah,
it's like
sure.
putting the money back into your pocket. So it's
Right.
like you don't want to spend too much if you're not going to make your investment back. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, I guess you could tend to do that. Like, I want to get this, and this, and then you realize I'm not really using that. So, I mean, I want to do something different, and then you've got all this equipment. So that definitely
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep. And I made that mistake. I started buying a bunch of Canon gear. And then I realized I wanted to do more stuff with sports and then long form video. And Canon, like they've just recently, well, actually, I'm not going to speak on it because I don't fully know. I ended up switching to Sony because Sony cameras had unlimited record time and they do much better in low light. And if you think about like shooting sports, especially at like a level where they don't have the professional lighting and stuff like that, like it's going to be dark in those gyms. It's going to be dark.
Yeah.
So you need cameras like that. And I ended up making a pretty nice investment. Thankfully, I've been able to sell some of it to my sister, who's a Canon shooter.
Because that's what I've seen, like when you're talking about shooting like athletes and stuff, I've seen like the big cameras with the big lights on them, and I'm like, do you really need all of that if you're in a gym that needs lighting? But then like you just said something about the lighting, I'm like, that does make sense because we just talked about like I'm trying to get the light in here right and I can't get it right because I have like a window from the left side of me, my ring light on, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't working. I want to invest more money. Then I'm like, no, not yet. No.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
Even the editing part can be an issue too, like finding the right software to edit. We went through that as well. So it's good education to be able to join these organizations like you did with the shooting, that can take you through some of the things that you think you may need, and you may need just the basics. So I mean, that's something that we can venture into as well. But again, our podcast is just let's talk. It's not anything serious. We're just bringing people on and just really just having a conversation.
Yeah, I think the last episode I listened to, you guys were talking about travel, and I was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to this because it's just a conversation.
It is. That's all we do is we just conversate.
Like,
There's no plan for it. We're trying to get information for other people who may be struggling, wanting to get out there, run their own business, do some traveling with a group of friends, and just haven't had the opportunity to do it. And that's what, we use the space for.
Because that's why when we talked about travel, I'm like, it's getting warm outside. So I feel like we should be able to travel a little bit more. It's not even just so much travel, just being able to just go outside and breathe in fresh air.
Yeah.
That is what I need. I'm just fine with doing that as well. But when you said listen to other episodes, I'm like, we are planning so many episodes. That's why I said you can come back during the springtime where we can have different backgrounds. We can actually be on the beach and be like, okay, I'm recording from here. We just want to make sure we are family oriented and just all in one.
And then share new experiences too. I know you're venturing out on this new thing with your fitness. We'll have you back and you'll share with us, how that's going and your clients that you're bringing in, and what you're targeting, we can bring you back on for that space too.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. And I would say, like, in terms of the podcasting stuff, look out, because I'm starting my own podcast.
Yay! That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was asking Jennifer. I said, wait, is she starting her podcast soon? Because we need to make sure we follow her and she follow us. So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
That's
what is your
exciting.
podcast? Yeah.
So I'll be launching it in April.
Mhm.
But the podcast will be targeted towards former athletes and just helping them to heal their hearts and spirits, just to know that they're worthy of, having peak performance in life after sports. But there's also a side of me that, has gone from athlete to entrepreneur, and I want to show people like behind the scenes. So one thing that I will be doing is, as I record my podcast, I'll also be showing like the behind the scenes camera setup and stuff. So that's
Oh,
what I'm doing. You guys look out for that, because I know
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Look, so what do you think is the hardest thing going from an entrepreneur or going from an athlete to an entrepreneur? Because I know some people say they kind of incorporate it once you become an athlete, they start buying businesses and things like that. But like once that athlete stops, like what do you do? Like how do you do you have your mind has to be right, or is it just like that's it? Like once you stop sports.
So I would say first, for buying business, it's probably going to be those athletes that are like NBA, NFL.
Yeah.
Track and field, we won't be making money like that. For track and field, if you think about it, like the athletes that people probably remember from our era would be Usain Bolt, Allison Felix, and those are just two athletes for over like 20 different events, but they represent the whole sport. So so that definitely changed money. Whereas for basketball or NFL, you can be a key or like a marquee player, for it. And I love those sports, so it's not like us against them or anything. But I am interested in like reaching out to people in my sport and figuring out, okay, like how did you do it? How did you decide to go from here to there? I know for my journey, at least it was really being open to exploring. I had a lot of moments of like, I don't know what I want to do yet, but I know this ain't it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know this ain't it. And you realize like over those years that once I finally got to the video stuff, I was like, oh, I remember journaling about this like 10 years ago and not understanding how I'm going to get here. And just being excited that I'm, finally back at that point. So I think it's just really being open to exploring. And then, of course, Courtney, like you said, like your mind has to be right and everything.
Yeah.
And
Because that's what I feel like when it comes to like ending like certain, as they say, like one journey ends and another journey begins. It's just like you have your mind does have to do that transition. And it's just like when it comes to sports, it's like okay, so like with the pandemic, it went from like, okay, you could work out every day at the gym, having all the equipment you wanted to, oh, now you have to work out at home. You might not even have the equipment. And it's just like that took a mental toll on people. So I feel like if going from like being an athlete every day, dreaming, thinking about sports, and then it's just like, okay, no more athletes. So yeah, that's what I was like, definitely talking to Ruby would definitely be helpful to get your mind and spirit right. So I could definitely understand, definitely listening to her podcast too, because I could see how that could definitely play something on somebody's mind and spirit. So yeah. I like that.
Sure.
Cool.
Because I feel like sometimes athletes struggle when they're not able to be an athlete anymore. Let's say, for instance, they have an injury. They might need a space to talk about, those things. What am I going to do next? Like you said, what comes after being an athlete? And I think that's something that, your podcast can benefit from too. And I'm really excited to, for you to get that going.
Yeah.
So I just have one more question before we end this. I have to ask you, if you could snap your finger today and change one thing about your journey, what would that be?
Oh, wow. I have to say nothing, mainly because I'm like a live your life with no regrets type of person.
Perfect, yeah.
But I probably would I would have my dad back. He passed when I was 16. But at the same time, when he passed, he's the reason why, I was interested in drug discovery and went into STEM. So yeah. But I think like today, if I could do that, it would be really cool to be like, hey, look what I'm doing. And just to know like what type of person he would be, my siblings and I, we kind of joke he would be like one of those Instagram fashionable
Okay. Be like one of the fly daddies.
Yeah, he was always sharp. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like that. Like all the new gear, the top gear. I love that.
He was always thrifting too. So I always imagine like he would have like all the older people thrifting and like making all these cool outfits. So
That's nice.
That's kind of funny that he's like that and flashy and fashion, and you're into photography and taking pictures. I mean, it would kind of work hand
and
in
getting
hand.
the
You could be
moments.
that. Yeah.
Sharing the
So it
moments
would be
and getting the
a
moments.
perfect match.
yeah.
That's great. That's great. Okay.
That's
That's I think that's good too. I think
Mhm.
I wouldn't change anything about my journey either. Just to put it out there. I think, everything that I'm doing has been challenging and scary for me, but I'm beginning to learn to step out of my comfort zone. And it's
Mhm.
good friends, the company that I'm bringing in now, the things that I'm pursuing, that's making me come out of those scary areas. And it's great to be in that space. So I'm glad that I have friends that are trying to do some of the same things. It feels good to know that we have a community out there that's doing things, and we need to recognize that.
I agree with both of you. That's why I said like changing my journey I wouldn't be where I am now. And it has made me learn like, okay, I have learned how to do this. I learned that, okay, I am powerful. When I'm at work and I'm just like, oh, I can't do this. I'm just like, I'm having a bad day. I'm like, I'm having a bad day. But then I think about it, I'm like, it's a positive and negative to everything. But I know that I've learned a lot. I know that you can't take that away from me. So I'm like, hey, I'm here to learn, and life is great. Life is good. I'm going to do what I can for me and for my community and us as a whole. That's why I'm like, this podcast, I was like, Jennifer, yeah, we should do it. We definitely should do it. Why not? Like, this is a way for us to talk and to get our mind off of things and just to be us. That's what I'm like. Definitely. Yeah. So I'm excited that you came and joined us today on our podcast. And we're going to include all of her information, training, pictures, whatever training she does. Also, we will include information about her upcoming podcast. So would you like to leave us with any encouraging words, Ruby, for today?
Oh my God. You know what? I think there's something that I used to say that recently came up in one of our women's Bible studies. And it's just like sacrifice your life for your life. And it really just means like Jennifer was saying, sometimes it's so easy to get stuck in that comfort zone. And it's kind of like, where do I want my life to go in the future? And I have to make a sacrifice for like this comfortable life that I'm living right now, or these comfortable things I'm doing now, so that I can have the life that I want. So I'll leave you with that, with sacrifice your life for your life.
Okay. Perfect. That is perfect.
Thank you for joining us today on today's episode of Magnificently Black. Join us again. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.